I hope that you came here to serve the Lord and to look for His blessings and get beyond yourself for a moment of time, that we can glorify Him. Had a pretty good weekend last weekend, but you know, it's a little bit bittersweet. As good as the weekend we had, all I could think about was this little church here. How I knew that me and Jeremy were going to be gone. I knew that some others were going to be gone, and I was concerned the whole time about what are they going to do there at home. Yeah. Trying to grow and have a place of our own, and it gets hard sometimes when you're striving in an area that's kind of cumbersome to you. But you know, the more and more that I travel, I'm finding more and more that I'm just a stranger. Yeah. I absolutely am. When I went up to Kentucky, I had to do a wedding in Kentucky, and when I went to Pikeville, a place I grew up in, spent 18, 19 years there. I went to Pikeville and it didn't look like what I remember. Yeah. Every time I go, it's different. Yeah. Yep. And I just feel like a stranger. Yep. I don't know where everything's at anymore. And I feel the same way here. I don't like going to Winston. It aggravates me. All the traffic and all the all the people and all the roads and stuff. I'm a very simple person. I'm easily satisfied, and I don't need a whole lot. But you know, it was difficult to write a ceremony for a wedding like that. I had very short notice. And it's very difficult to write a ceremony when you don't really know the people. Yep. They just needed somebody to stand in because their preacher had stepped out on them and wasn't married. I spoke with the gentleman, his name is Bill. I spoke to him a few times, him and his soon-to-be wife, to let him know who I was, and sitting there trying to write a ceremony. And you know, it's hard to write a ceremony when you don't know the person and you don't know their heart. I didn't know. I mean, I'd asked them about church and stuff, and it's always that same answer. Well, I need to go a little bit more. And I think to myself, oh Lord, here we go. Yep. Here's one of those people. They got plenty of excuses. And you know, the devil kind of creeped in on me when they said that. I'm thinking to myself, well, what's the point? What's the point of me coming there? Yeah. If you're just wanting somebody there to just say a few words and sign off on your certificate, what in the world is the point? But you know, I started thinking about opportunities. That's right. And, come on. You know, I thought maybe I can go there. And if they don't want to hear anything, maybe. I told them I'm going to hold prayer during it. And I said, maybe when I hold prayer, that somebody there will hear something that will stir in their heart. Maybe there's somebody there that the following morning was going to be at a church house somewhere and just needed something to get them through. And as I was sitting there reading, you know, it's hard to give a charge to a husband when you're talking about these things here. You see, they view marriage, in this world views marriage as a tax write-off, you know, and we can sit and we can debate and we can talk politics about it. You can get mad about gays get married. You can stand up there and preach a whole sermon about it. I don't even care because marriage for me means something than what this world has made it out to be. So I don't care what you're doing, and you're not going to make me get involved in anything I don't want to get involved in. You know, brother, and that's all right. You do as you want. But how am I going to charge a husband to love his wife the way that he should? Because I don't even do it. You see, listen, my Lord Jesus, when He came to this world, you see, we needed a Savior, and He was that Savior. Savior. He was the husband. Listen, and the church was the wife. It was the bride. Listen, and it says in the Bible, a man should love his wife the way that Christ loved the church. How can I charge a man, listen, to do as Christ did? You see, he had a love for that bride, that he came to this world, and he took that love to the cross in a very self-sacrificing way. How am I going to charge a man to walk like Jesus when I hardly do, and I strive and try to, but who am I, listen, to get up there and tell somebody how to live their life? And I sat there, and that old devil, he was working on me on that. I hadn't even wrote a word. I just had their names written down, and that lady, the wife, her last name was Peace. And you know, I thought to myself, well, this is going to give me something to work with, because I know peace in this world. Listen, and that's that man named Jesus Christ. So I got to writing there, knowing that after that day, she wasn't going to carry that last name, but if she were to find my Lord and lean upon Him, she's going to take that name with her. That's because that's where peace is here today. And you know, I went through that wedding, and afterwards I was letting everyone out, ushering them out as I walked down the aisle, and people were stopping and saying, well, that prayer that you had, I ain't heard nothing like it. That sounded a lot different. It sounded like it came from your heart. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what in the world kind of prayers have you been hearing? Because there's no format here today. It comes from right here. That's what matters here today. Listen, are you afraid to serve my Lord because you're afraid that you're not going to have that right format? Well, you're already thinking about it wrong. You know, Brother Chris had called me talking about my preaching, talking about that hollering out and all that good stuff. I don't have the deliverance, and I admit it, I don't have the deliverance that I want to have because I let myself get in the way. And he told me, he was trying to build me up a little bit, said you got a strong voice, and he said, you know, sometimes we all get hoarse, and I'm thinking to myself, and I told him, I said, I don't understand what you guys are talking about. I don't get that hoarseness that you're talking about. I think you're all making it up. And then it wasn't the next day, my sinuses started acting up, and I knew I had to do a wedding, and I couldn't barely talk. I kept losing my voice, and then I had to wake up on a Sunday, listen there in Kentucky, knowing that they were going to make me preach. And when I woke up that morning, my voice was squeaking and going out on me, and I said, well, look what I've done to myself here. The Lord, He has such a sense of humor, don't He? Listen, He brought me down, listen, but it'll humble you for a moment of time. You know, I could have ran the other way. I could have came up with an excuse. I could have said, Brother Darrell, you can't use me today because I'm losing my voice. Listen, but you know, there's a cause here this morning. Listen, there's people that you got to be able to reach out to here today. And you know, as bad as it was bothering me, there's many excuses that I was trying to come up with. At the end of that service, a little lady came forward crying and joined the church. I could have kept my seat, but listen, I'm not saying it was me that broke her heart there. All I know is that day I was serving the best that I could. Listen, if I had any influence on it, well, then that's all right. Listen, I just need to touch one person in this world, and I'll feel like I've done what I need to do. But I could have ran the other way. You know, I got to thinking a lot about Jonah there. Listen, you know, the Lord had something for him to do. Listen, Nineveh, brother, I needed him to go there and preach. And talk to these people, try to save them because destruction was coming their way. But they were the enemy there. Listen, Nineveh was the enemy, and he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to be part of that. He probably feared for his life, no doubt. So he ran the other way. Listen, and boarded a ship. He was getting out of there. Listen, and you know, the storms came and the seas, it got rough. And you know, all those men on that boat were praying unto their gods, trying to figure out why they had that upon them. Listen, and they had casted lots. And you know, Jonah, he was down in the belly of that ship, just resting. How confident was he really if he's going to sleep through that there? Listen, that boat getting tossed all around, and you know, he just asleep down in the belly of it. But he had told them there, if you cast me overboard, surely that this storm, it will pass. And when they did, brother, and that's what had happened. But you know, the Lord had prepared a great big fish to come and swallow him up and took him down. For 3 nights, listen, he had a lot of time to think about what he had done. And it reminds me a whole lot of myself being down in little coal mines when I finally gave myself up. You know, I was thinking about every time we go down in that mines, people would say every mile we get a little bit closer to hell, and they all thought it was funny. And you know, there is a little humor in it. They're not being serious, but you know, every time I went in that mines, you could have took me deeper and deeper. I couldn't have been any closer to hell at one point. Listen, but when I fell on my face, you want to call it hell? Out of the belly of hell, I cried on account of my sins, brother. And you know, when I came up a brand new man, being 7 miles underneath there, I couldn't have been further away from hell. Listen, when I went in, I was so close. But when I came out, listen, I've never been that close again, and I don't want to be that close. Listen, I'm going to leave out of here today. You know, brother, as soon as I go out that door here today, I'm stepping in the Nineveh. Listen, you know, this world, we can talk about how bad it is. We can talk about how far it's fallen away from the Lord. Listen, that's just like Brandon said, it's a generational thing. But I'm telling you, things could be a lot worse. Don't focus on the small things. Focus on the big picture here today. And that's telling people about that man named Jesus. It's not throwing that little pity party and saying, well, they're attacking my beliefs. Listen, they've been attacking your beliefs your whole life. I met a brother there at that Pilgrim's Prayer Church. Apparently he's my cousin. I didn't know him. He knew me, but he came up and talked to me, and he said, I'd met your mom the other day and told her I'd seen you here preaching before. And I said, what'd she say about that? He said, well, she didn't say a whole lot. And you know why? That's because I am hated because of what I do now. I am hated because I left Kentucky. I am hated because I serve Jesus and don't live that way anymore. Brethren, I am truly hated this morning. I'm a hated stranger. But let me tell you here this morning, I'm not worried about those small things. There's nothing I can do about it. I have to live my life by example. And if I don't do that, then I'm failing here this morning.
Bless the Lord.
Absolutely failing. And I fail daily.
Yeah, we do.
I do fail daily. You know, I've had a good morning. Woke up to the kids had me a gift. You know, and I was expecting that they were. Abel's not exactly the best secret keeper. Rachel asked me to take her to Walmart last night, and I did, or after we left church. And when we got back home, she had called Abel and Delilah into the bedroom. And she'd already jumped on to me following her around. She was trying to hide a gift. I knew she was. Abel goes in there and comes back up and sits in the living room. He goes, I didn't say a word. He just looks at me and goes, oh, nothing. Oh, nothing. We were just just cleaning. And I'm like, okay, you know. But I'm awful blessed. I am so blessed. You know, and I feel like a borrowed son here this morning. Or just a second-hand son, I guess you could say. You know, I didn't have a dad and all that. You know, that's all past and gone. You know, and then at one point, I looked to my grandfather and I called him Dad. I called him Dad, and a lot of people thought that was weird. It wasn't weird to me. He done a lot for me, but then he passes, and you know, I was thinking about the other day, getting little phone calls here and there throughout the week, and Chris trying to step in and play that role now. I just feel borrowed, you know. I feel like I'm falling into people's laps for no reason, you know, but it is what it is here this morning. But I've learned a lot about it. And you know, it makes me feel awful good that I've got little children that love me and that the Lord has gave them to me. You know, I'll tell this and then I'll bring it to a close, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. I was in Kentucky, and Brother Mike and Brother Daryl, they were all making me feel good after it. I tried to ignore the noise. They said, well, you done so good, you done so good. I wish I had all these little stories and all this stuff like that. And Chad, you know, he was talking about, I was at that wedding, and this man, Billy, he kept asking me, what do I have to pay you for you to do this? Yeah. What are you going to charge me? And I said, I don't charge anything. I'm not going to charge anybody for doing what I think the Lord has called me to do. That's right. And you know, when I wrote the ceremony, I was talking to a brother at work. He's a preacher, and I asked him about it, and he said, well, what are you charging them? I said, I ain't charging them anything. And he said, you know, I don't think that I would travel all the way up to Kentucky and stuff for no money or whatever. He said, you had to buy a new suit. And I said, yeah, I did, because the other one swallowed me. And I had to buy a new one for it. He said, well, maybe they can pay for that. I said, no, you're missing the point here. And that man had kept asking me, what is it that you charge? I said, there's no charge. Would you stop asking me about it? But then we got over there, and there's a boy that was in a part of that wedding, and he looked so familiar to me, and I couldn't really put a finger on it. And Rachel had been telling me that Sierra's little boyfriend, Chad's daughter, listened that her son, it was her dad that I was marrying there. And it's an awful small world. I had no idea. And I seen that boy standing there, and I recognized him being at that church. You know, after I'd performed that ceremony, they were all going to take pictures and we're going to have a good old time. But I said, no, I got a little ordination I got to get to. Congratulations. God bless you. I got to go. But then I got halfway down the road, and I was thinking to myself, maybe I do have a charge. Maybe I am going to charge him. So I called him. You know, he could have been cutting his cake at the time. He could have been doing a lot of things. I didn't care. When he picked up that phone, I said, Billy, I've come up with a charge for you. Listen, I'm getting ready to go to a church and watch an ordination here. Listen, and I know that I've seen your son at that church multiple times. If there's one thing that you want to do for me to pay for my service here today, it's you need to go with your son out to that church one day and see why it is that he keeps going back. Listen, I don't care what you're doing right now, Billy. I can't let this opportunity slide. Listen, I want it to be on your heart right now before you go and have your little party afterwards, and before you start drinking your drinks and having a good old time. I need Jesus on your heart here today, and you know there's no better way to get him on you than through your children. When I had my first one, brother, all I could think about was that zeal coming over me, thinking, Lord God, you blessed me a whole awful lot here today. And you know, I'm thinking about Father's Day, being a little boy. Being a little boy and not understanding. It takes more than having a child this morning to be a father.
Amen.
That's right.
And you know, even the fathers that are around, It takes this right here, from what I've experienced, to be a real good father.
Yeah, buddy.
You want to train your children
Serve the
up
Lord.
Wait.
That's
in
right.
the way that they should be. There's no greater place than right here, and I don't understand the world this morning, how they think this is so bad. What's wrong with teaching your children not to kill anybody?
Yeah.
What's wrong with teaching your children to love one another? Listen, are you that condemned that you have to push this aside and say that it's evil?
Yeah.
I don't find evil anywhere where it mentions Jesus Christ other than Him pushing that evil away. You see, growing up, I had a grandfather and a grandmother that went to church, so it was always there in the back of my mind. But I don't think, like a lot of people in here think, when the brothers talk about how they came to the Lord, my path was a little bit different. The only reason that I wasn't there is because I never seen it. I wanted to see the proof. I wanted to feel what these people were saying they were feeling. And that's what kept me away for so long. Growing up there, when every time my father would call, he would call often and tell my mom, tell Shad I'm going to come pick him up. And I was a little bitty boy, and I used to like fighting. I used to like doing all kinds of things because I'd always heard, well, your dad, I seen him at the bar one time, and I seen him whoop a couple guys, and I seen him get his nose broke and still come back and win a fight, and I thought to myself, that's what it is. I'm not a fighter, so maybe I need to be a little bit of a fighter, and he'll be around, and I would see people talking about how much he could drink, and one time when he did pick me up, when he was taking me across the mountain, he was drinking the whole way. I thought to myself, well, maybe I could drink this man under the table, and that will be the thing that gets us that little bond that we need. But no, sir, I would sit on that couch sometimes. He would call in the afternoon, and I would get everything that I thought was good in this world. Listen, I had a little Ninja Turtles backpack. I remember it. I thought that was the coolest thing. There's no way that he would not like this here. So if I put all my stuff in it, he'll be awful proud of that. I would fill that backpack up with just toys because that's all I cared about when I was little, and I was innocent. It was just toys. There wasn't clothes in there. I just wanted him to see my little toys. Maybe we could play with those. And I would sit there from that morning, and I would sit there till I fell asleep at night, and he would never show, and it would always be disappointing. And I would always think in my head, well, there's got to be a good excuse when there never really was one. But when I was down in that coal mines, and I thought I'd been deprived of the love of a father, no, sir, I had been rejecting the love of a father my whole life, because when I fell down on my knees, what I took to him there, I didn't take no backpack, I didn't take any possessions, I was dirty, listen, I was covered in coal and rock dust, I was laying flat on my face, and I felt like there was no way I could get off my face. I felt like that mindset fell down on me, but when I got done praying, and there was no format, when my heart quit singing, when I came back up off my feet, I was a different man.
Amen.
Listen.
Amen.
For the first time in my life, I felt whole. And I haven't found much joy in a lot of those seasonal things anymore. Even before I became a child of God, I remember trying to come up with every excuse in the world. And I went to Brother Chris one day because I just wanted to talk to somebody about it. And I said, I still get so angry. I said, the other day I seen a boy that I swore if I seen him again, I'd tear into him. He crossed me and I didn't like it.
I went through that.
And I ran across that boy and I was telling Chris about it. And he said, well, what'd you do? I said, I didn't do anything. Because the Lord was already working on me. And I believe here this morning there's a lot of people in this world that the Lord is working on. But they need a little bit of guidance on a Sunday morning.
That's right.
They need a little bit of something to be
Yeah,
on their
that's
heart
right.
throughout the
That's
week.
right.
Amen.
Listen, and right here is the place that no matter how many people show up on a Sunday morning, that's just fine. We're going to pay our bills and we're going to keep singing and we're
God
going to
bless.
keep preaching.
Yeah.
And as they come in, we can only do our best and, lean on the Lord here this morning and not glorify ourselves and not to put on a show, but to look up on high, and that maybe the Lord will bless us for a moment of time, Brother Larry, to be just like you were, to be able to walk our children into the water, to be able to walk somebody else's children into the water. Listen, we might come across one of those brothers like Mike Stanley. Listen, I was listening to one of those brothers up there in the ordination. They said, I've known Mike his whole life, and he's always been a good person. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that can't be true, because ever since I've known this man, he's been a real good person. Listen, he said, but the moment that he gave his life to the Lord, he said he was better. Listen, ain't that awful funny here this morning? I hear that all the time. Well, I'm a good person. You think you're a good person because you're giving yourself too much credit, because I guarantee your mind isn't good. I guarantee you're thinking some awful things. I guarantee you get hateful and you get jealous and you get angry. But listen, I know a man that came here a little over 2,000 years ago, that his blood, when you stand before the Father, if you've got his blood and that's what he can see, there's your opportunity.
Yeah. That's right.
You brothers get you the song, and I'll get out of the way and bring this to a close. The church doors here this morning are open. And I'm thinking the other day, if I were to have to stand before God on account of my sins, if he were to ask me, have you ever lied? I'd say, yeah. And you know what? That would make me, by definition, a liar. If he were to ask me, listen, have I ever cheated? Have I ever stole before? And I would have no choice but to say yes. And you know what that makes me by definition? That makes me a thief. And I can't deny and go back and change time on those things. So when I stand before God, listen, without the blood of Jesus Christ, I am a self-proclaimed thief here this morning. I am a self-proclaimed liar here this morning. And if Jesus Christ put me